Hello everybody and welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making some brisket, as you can see. I'm going to get right into it. Usually I make brisket about once a year, roughly, depending on when we have access to it. So what I'm doing now is I just took it out of the packaging. It was double wrapped and I rinsed it really good, and then now I'm just towel drying it with some paper towels. I have my oven heating up to 275 and it's preheated now, so it's good to go. I'm going to show you how I do, you can change up the seasoning to your liking. I will link the recipe down below. I did alter it a little bit. Basically what I'm going to do is mustard first, and then I'm going to do my dry seasonings and front and back. And then what we're going to do is pop it in the oven and let it bake for a little while on 275. And then from there, we're going to make basically a sauce for it that will consist of beef broth, pureed tomato, red wine vinegar, honey, and then some seasonings. And then we're going to braise it the rest of the way. All right, guys, so we have this all nice and dry. This is going to take a while. On average, this is probably going to take about 5 hours on 275. All right, so I've got my basting brush here. What I'm going to do is grab our Dijon mustard. Now I have used regular yellow mustard before. You can omit the mustard if you don't like it. Whatever is to your liking. Alrighty, so I'm just gonna put about a tablespoon and a half on the underside. This is the side that's going to be going on our pan. We're gonna flip this side over and let it cook on the fat side first. And you can use your hands and massage it in if you'd like. I'm gonna do that whenever all of the seasonings are on there. And we're also gonna go around the sides. I'm gonna make sure this gets everywhere, because that's how it's also gonna form that beautiful crust that a brisket has. So just lift this up a little bit and you can see I'm just giving it a good coating. Some people just use salt and pepper to season it. I like to go a little bit further with it, and I do salt, pepper, and then I'm going to do some steak seasoning, and then I'm going to also do some garlic and Italian, but the Italian I'm actually going to wait until we make our sauce, because that's kind of what our recipe calls for. So this is just a generic steak seasoning, and if you do decide to put your mustard on there, you'll notice how much easier your seasonings will stick. Okay, give it a good healthy layer. And we're going to do some salt and pepper. This is really easy to make. It just, like I said, it takes a while in the oven. So I'm starting this around 2 o'clock. We usually eat around 7. So this will be perfect for us. And they do suggest for you to let it cool once it comes out of the oven for roughly an hour before you eat, and to rest, because you want the meat to rest. It also depends on the poundage of your brisket as well. Okay, perfect. And then I'm just gonna hit a little bit of garlic here. All right, now we're gonna rub it all around. So we're just gonna and because I don't want the seasoning to come off, I'm gonna more so pat it in, work it like this, work it into the joints of the meat. Because whenever I sprinkled on our seasonings, I pretty much evenly distributed them. Obviously our sides are gonna need seasoned as well, so just work it in. Make sure it gets all the way around. If you guys are, I use mustard a lot on my beef. If you're scared of using mustard on your beef or not sure what it'll taste like, try it on a smaller piece of beef first, like a steak, and see if you like it. It's just, I learned it from watching Chef Ramsay. Whenever he makes beef Wellingtons, he always adds mustard. And ever since that, I've been adding it into my beef recipes. And Mark and I really, really enjoy it. So it's a win for us. And I've watched other brisket recipes, and they put it on there as well. And like I said, they even use the yellow mustard. So now I'm just going to lift them up on all sides and start sprinkling in our seasonings. This is probably the hardest part of it, is getting your sides seasoned. But outside of that, that's really the hardest part. Once we get our sides, we're going to flip it over to the top where it's the most fatty. And we're just going to repeat this process. You want to see a heavy layer of seasoning on there. Don't be shy with this. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over, and we're going to repeat the same process over here. So braising is whenever you would take a liquid and you would fill up your pan about halfway, whether you have protein or veggies in your pan, and then cooking it kind of low and slow in the oven. And then that's called braising, whenever it cooks in that liquid and it's not fully submerged or covered, but it's getting the tenderness from that liquid and it's cooking all those juices and flavors into that meat and those veggies. Put this on the top rack because if it starts to get a little crispy, that's what I want. And then I'll flip it over for the other side. All right, everybody, so we are gonna make our sauce now for our brisket. What I have in here is 4 cups of beef broth. And then I'm gonna leave the recipe down below, but I have Italian seasoning, garlic powder, pepper, paprika, cumin, and then you're going to need some red wine vinegar. I'm starting out with a little bit just because I don't want it to be too pungent with the vinegary taste. It calls for 1/4 cup, and I'm going to cut that in half, so I'm going to start with 1/8. And then it calls for 3 tablespoons of honey. And we're going to let this cook and reduce down. I'm just going to give it a nice little whisk here. And once it starts to cook a little bit and warm up, that's when I'm going to give it a sample and see if we need to adjust it at all. Always go with your instincts whenever you taste something. If you think it needs something else, like this is probably going to need salt, but I'm not going to add the salt until I taste it and I know that it needs it. Next, what we're going to do in here is put in either, if you have a tomato puree, I'm just going to use, you can even use just a can of tomatoes, and then you can use your stick mix and blend that up, and that's what I'm going to do here for it. Also, on a side note, our brisket now has been cooking for about 2.5 hours. At the 2-hour mark, I turned it over, trying to toast up the other side. Temperature is still at 275. So like I said, now we're kind of halfway through the process. That's why I wanted to get our sauce going so it can reduce down for me and start to thicken up. And then it'll be really, really nice. Alongside of this, I'm not really going to show you guys the sides. I'll show you at the end, but basically I'm just going to probably roast some carrots and potatoes in the oven. So I'm just going to do that with some basic seasonings, a little bit of olive oil, toss them in olive oil, and then we'll bake it. So just trying to keep it very simple for today. So I'll see you guys back here whenever we are working with the brisket again. Hey everybody, here is our brisket along with our potatoes and roasted carrots. And then I made that sauce. I poured that over top. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.